Hello and welcome to another episode of our Women in STEM series. My name is Kaylee Peile and I'm the Director of Development for the Linda Hall Library. Today our guest is Joy Wheeler. She's the CEO of Girl Scouts of Northeast Kansas and Northwest Missouri. Joy, welcome and thanks for being here.
Thanks, Kaylee. It's a delight to be here.
Absolutely. Before we start talking about Girl Scouts specifically, many of the women in our series, they have non-linear career trajectories, and I believe you do as well. So would you mind giving your backstory? What led you to being CEO at Girl Scouts?
That is an interesting story. My career started in nursing when I was growing up and loved science as a young girl. The only options at the time that I was encouraged to pursue was nursing. And so I had a practice in nursing career. Go Jayhawks. I'm a KU Jayhawk grad. And I was operating room and trauma was my specialty. And I noticed that there were no female bosses at the time. This is way, way back. And I asked the administrator, why aren't there any women bosses? This is primarily women profession. And I was told, well, they all have master's degrees. And so I decided I'd go get a master's degree. And so I went to UMKC, got a master's in public administration in healthcare studies, and then went into the business of healthcare and had a 38-year career in leading organizations, insurance, managed care, PPOs, HMOs, etc. And loved that work, but for me there was just something missing. I needed another new challenge, and so decided to go do my own consulting practice. Was doing interim CEO work. Girl Scouts asked me to come be an interim for them. I raised a son, and so I didn't think that I belonged in that space, and shame on me, I was not as aware of how Girl Scouts has evolved and what the job was that Girl Scouts is now filling in terms of preparing girls for a future successful career. And so decided I wanted to go in, and I was their interim, and I've been there for 10 years.
That's fabulous. That's a great story. It's nice to hear that, you had kind of a calling, you knew you were looking towards something and you found it. So that's, and we're glad that you're here doing this. So tell me a little bit about that evolution that you talked about with Girl Scouts. I think historically, the generations before of Girl Scouts, the people who are adults now who had Girl Scouts whenever they were little, they might not think of workforce preparedness or STEM as being one of those main pillars. So what has that evolution looked like in Girl Scouts here in our region? And, why is Girl Scouts committed to the experiences that they're dedicated to giving girls now?
I love to give a talk called Not Your Grandma's Girl Scouts, because there's a perception that we have to overcome of what our role is and what we do. Girl Scouts is over 100 years old and has always been dedicated to girl leadership development. And the way we do that is a formula that's very simple. And it is exercise for girls between kindergarten and 18. And it's how to help girls build their courage, confidence, and character so they can change the world. That's the mission. As we also evolved then, we realized that we need to help prepare girls for future careers that will bring them high success as women leaders in the future, because that's what we do, is we prepare girls to be the future women leaders, but also to help girls see the opportunities that they might not be aware of for themselves. We are still a very, very gender-biased stereotype culture about girls in science, girls liking math, and in fact they are still unfortunately driven away from those areas of interest. And if we can spark an interest in a girl in science in kindergarten, because she's coding and building her own video, or construction, building a treehouse for a bird, and we then offer her opportunities and experiences as she gets older, then she won't let anybody tell her that this is not something you should be interested. Girls don't like this kind of thing. STEM is critical. We have very low representation of girls that see themselves pursuing careers in the STEM field. We take that very seriously because it's the biggest workforce need currently and well into the future. In fact, girls will be doing things that haven't been invented yet. And so I think it's critically important that we give girls experiences in as many different disciplines as we can so that they have the opportunity to decide for themselves, not what anybody else tells them they should like, to pursue what could be very great careers, economic prosperity, the opportunity to be leaders in a field that desperately needs more women.
Absolutely. I love that you said that. And I think, it sounds like you're really trying to provide more agency to girls to make those choices, and creating more access and opportunities is the way that we can
Right.
get them to make those choices.
Right.
We're doing that a lot at the library too. Something that I know we've talked about in the past, our How Do I Become series, we're working on, creating more exposure to education, career exploration, and some of that exposure to workforce. So what are some of the unique attributes that Girl Scouts has that makes it critical to building more of a talent workforce pipeline with more women and girls in it?
I think the most critical attribute is we provide a safe single gender space. And when I say safe, that means that a girl has an opportunity to experience an activity that she might not think she would like. She might not think she could do perfectly the first time. She might not think that she will do it right, but she can take a chance, build her courage, and not be afraid of being laughed at, ridiculed, or made fun of by boys. A boy doesn't think a thing about trying something that he's never done before and thinking that he can do it fine. That's not how girls operate. And so girls then support each other. Let me use the example of a zip line. A little girl climbing up the tower, looking over the terrain and making a decision about whether she is going to jump off that or not. And maybe the first time she says, no, I'm not going to do it. But then her friends are doing it, and she then says, if they can do it, I can do it, and there she goes. And that cumulative building of opportunities to have an experience, do something without the fear of not doing it perfect the first time, and that's something women really suffer from, wanting to do it right, then that is just a cumulative experience. And we do this all the time. And that's leadership development, because every leader who's successful has courage, confidence, and character, or they can't guide people in a way to follow them. So girls then learn to collaborate. And as they get older, they become more and more girl-led. So the leaders, the volunteers, have to kind of let the girls go forward and be there to support them. And so that's the other thing. You have an affirming, supportive adult environment that it could be for some girls, that's the only place they can get that.
Right. So that's really important, and I think that really speaks to my next question. So your segue is perfect. So what can they expect, aside from the collaboration piece that you mentioned and the overall leadership that Girl Scouts is providing? What can an employer expect when it comes to the current and future state of the workforce? When they're hiring a woman who has a Girl Scout background, who is a STEM professional, what can they expect?
With Girl Scouts, what we prepare is not only girls to have opportunities and experiences in STEM trades, entrepreneurship and civic engagement, outdoor stewardship, those are our 4 program pillars, but in every single one of those there is service expectations, and girls to earn badges. There is a service element that's always built into achieving the badge. And so girls on average do about 30 hours of community service every year. So an employer has an employee, a female employee, who not only comes prepared with skills, but she has learned how to be a leader. And she is a good communicator and collaborator because that's what she had to do in her troop. And then she's very accustomed to community service and thrives on that and wants to make a difference in the world. So you just get an individual who has all those attributes, and they come to the workplace with that experience.
That's fabulous. I always love whenever any sort of program is really helping young people understand the importance of community service so that they can also invest in their communities, and that's how we all kind of rise together. So that's a fabulous response.
You know, the highest award a girl can achieve is the Gold Award. And the Gold Award requires about 100 hours in study and mentorship with a coach, building a budget, building a plan, and it's always about a community issue that she is studying and taking action to resolve. And that project has to be self-sustaining then. It has to move in perpetuity, so it's not a one-and-done project. And that is really, really an important step in a girl's development.
Absolutely. I totally agree. So, okay, so aside from we've got, focusing on the next generation of leaders, what are some ways that you're getting this information about Girl Scouts into the community? Do you have any upcoming events, any upcoming things that you would like to talk to me about?
Absolutely. Like I said earlier, we're not your grandma's Girl Scouts, but getting that level of understanding about the profound impact that we have. I mean, we have 23,000 members in this area. And what's really cool is that we know when you educate and inform a girl, she is also informing an adult.
Right.
Who needs to be aware of what girls are capable of doing and want to do. So that whole area is open for us to communicate to the marketplace. We started a program last year called Tough Cookies, and it was about understanding the social-emotional health of girls today and how that can be a barrier to their success and what we're doing about that. We're very excited about Tough Cookies in April, and the program is going to be about leadership and how we are working to build the pipeline, the girl pipeline for future workforce needs in this region, which are critical.
I'm excited to see it in April. That'll be great. So my last question, Joy, as we're kind of talking about the future of the state of our region, what do you think the future of STEM looks like for girls when it comes to the work that Girl Scouts is doing and all of the community partners and collaborators that are in our Kansas City ecosystem?
Well, there will not be, and there will be no end to opportunity. I mean, when we look at what this region is doing, take for instance Panasonic, Amazon. They are desperate for a workforce, and not only. I want to mention one other thing in STEM, but we are also focusing on experiences in trades. And STEM professionals know they are desperately needing more people in trades,
Right.
and that is a real workforce gap for girls. So those kind of go hand in hand. But this region is absolutely a STEM ecosystem, and that includes bio and life sciences, which is obviously my love. So no end to opportunity. We just have to get girls there.
I totally agree. Well, thank you so much for your time, Joy. I appreciate it.
Thank you.